good to see you all. So I realize that we are winding down with the existing pieces of what I've written. I think I've read an entire career's worth of stories in the past few months. So I will keep writing in order to keep us going. I may have to have us go to just Friday nights though, because it's getting a little hard to come up with material, but we shall see. So I have two pieces for you tonight. One of them is about a different march. I have marched a lot. I'm a marcher. Hey Peggy, I'm a marcher apparently. I was born in the 60s in Greenwich Village in New York City. And I was part of the fabric of a community in the 60s that marched. We marched to end the Vietnam War. They marched for LGBTQ rights. They marched for, I mean, you name it, we marched for it. Or I watched them march because I was really too little to march. I'm going to tell you that I did once meet Abbie Hoffman when I was in college, and he came to speak at my university. And that was an amazing experience. He was going through a rough time. He'd gone through many rough times, but he was not going to quit. And having met Abbie and spent a few days rapping with him, not the kind of rapping that's musical, I became an advocate of the march. But I'm looking back on this piece, and it was about the Women's March. Let's see how that went. So, Norfolk, Virginia. The Women's March in Washington, D.C. and the sister marches around the nation and the planet were a balm to the wounded national soul. Sadly, even as we marched, spoke, and rejoiced in the unity of our faith in one another, the people we needed to sway were moved only to mock us more. My mission was to effect change, and I feel like that only happened on one side of the wall that exists between those who marched and those who continue to mock us. Rather than be a pink pussy-hatted dot in the crowd at Washington, D.C., I decided to accept a last-minute offer to come and speak in front of the Chrysler Museum of Art here at home. The argument given by the organizers was powerful. I was reminded that bad bills have flooded our state legislature that gravely endanger women and LGBTQ rights. People need to see that there is resistance here. They need to know they're not alone at home. It was a compelling argument, particularly in light of the fact that we currently have a president, a press secretary, Sean Spicer, at that time, and a president whisperer, Kellyanne Conway, using the national stage and seat of power to mint their own reality. I could easily see them spinning the D.C. march to say, doesn't represent the real localities. It's just elitists gathering to whine. So I stayed in my city. Here's what I said to the very diverse 3,000 marchers of all orientations, ethnicities, income levels, and religions who gathered here. We call this a march because that word sends a message of power. For me today, it also is a walk. I'm walking away from hate, fear, and division towards the power of unity. I created unity in our community through teaching the game of chess to children, primarily little girls. When I teach anyone to play chess, I tell them that the queen is the most powerful piece on the board. Then I tell them that every pawn is a baby queen. Unfortunately, the election of Donald Trump, even after he dismissed women and advocated their abuse, makes that lesson hard for kids to believe. What's hard for me to believe is that the leader of our nation also dismisses science, facts, and truth. He strengthens hate towards the people I love, like my daughter, who's a member of the LGBTQ community, and my best friend, who belongs to the Islamic faith, the peaceful Muslim religion. Donald Trump has attacked my profession as a journalist so viciously that people think that it's okay to send me a photo of a t-shirt that advocates lynching me. Rope, journalist, Tree, some assembly required. That's what the shirt said. That's what people send me almost daily. That's frightening. When I'm afraid, I get angry. And I don't want to live angry for the next 4 years. Well, I know how that went. I need to walk it off. That hasn't been easy because apparently I'm a whiner, a lefty, and a snowflake. I let those first two names go. I'm keeping snowflake. After all, white is a traditional symbol of women's suffrage. Like women, snowflakes are diverse, self-directed, and brilliant. After our recent blizzard, I came to truly appreciate snowflakes. Unity is their superpower. While an individual snowflake is fragile, when you put enough of them together in one place, they can really wreck your plans. They can paralyze the government, shut down streets, and freeze your foundation until your pipes burst. Snowflake haters say snow melts. Here's where science in education makes a difference. Snow is water, and water isn't going anywhere. Without it, you die of thirst. Too much of it, and you drown. We are the snowflakes, and when we melt down, it isn't into a pool of tears. You know what they call a snowflake in the South? Rain. Sure, we may evaporate at the end of the march, but we'll come back again and again as a hard rain to wash everything clean. As Donald Trump took the oath of office, the rain began, and it will not stop. Let's hear it for the snowflakes. Inshallah, the next shirt we see will read Community, Unity, Respect. Some National Assembly required. My grand feeling of accomplishment was short-lived on Facebook and local TV posts of the video from the event as they filled up with derision, dismissal, and rebuke. Not only men, but scores of women posted that they can't understand why we marched. Popular themes include, don't women already have all their rights? What more do they want? Free mani-pedis and stop whining. We preached to a very large choir. However, many of the people we needed to reach fall into the category once reserved for ecstatic religious zealots who see us as the devil. Those folks immediately shut down to anything they perceive as being a threat to their new presidential sun god. I get it. When they start singing the praises of Donald Trump and his nominees, I tend to tune out too. Political ecstasy, an altered state of consciousness, seems for now to be impenetrable. Demonstration isn't the answer for how to get through the wall that's been built in the minds of many. This calls for deprogramming. That's where my new focus lies. That was a bigger job than I thought, huh? Yeah. Speaking truth to the unempowered. This is also from 2016. We need to tell black boys they are brilliant. Brilliance begins on the lips and it is spoken into being. Power rests in the words, I'm a brilliant little black boy. And what does it take for a child to say those words with belief? For the past 6 years, I've run a free chess program, Norfolk Initiative for Chess Excellence. Nice. In Norfolk, Virginia's community centers, schools, and even on street corners. About 95% of our kids are African American. Many live well below the poverty line. Nearly half of our kids are homeless and coping with food insecurity. Part of what motivates me to give my time is the fact that my state, Virginia, is the worst in the nation for sending kids from school to jail. It's commonly referred to as the school-to-prison pipeline. However, I was moved to write about this particular component of our program, the aspect of growing self-esteem, after I caught the social media campaign by Samuel L. Jackson, Vin Diesel, Omari Hardwick, Blair Underwood, and other celebrities who recently filmed selfie videos encouraging black boys to be brilliant. Their campaign stems from a new children's book called I Am a Brilliant Black Boy, co-authored by Betty K. Baum of Los Angeles and her son Joshua B. Drummond, age 19. Bynum also wrote, I'm a Pretty Little Black Girl. As a children's author, I know that there is, as the book's campaign points out, a noticeable diversity gap in the children's publishing industry, as well as a sizable lack of affirming messaging and positive imagery aimed at African American children. Experience has taught me that the word brilliant simply isn't equated with little black boys around here and in many other places. Black boys are perceived as less innocent. People use other words like hostile, underachiever, or street smart. The word brilliant isn't said in reference to their daily work, potential, or actions. I've been invited by principals, counselors, and juvenile detention facility directors to come in and teach chess because with the game comes a feeling of being brilliant. That feeling helps unclog the pipes and get kids moving forward in better directions. Part of the gunk that seals kids into that pipeline is the language barrier erected in their minds. It's not that teachers and adults here tell black students they are inferior. That's old school prejudice. Modern society has a more insidious practice of selectively bestowing praise or withholding it altogether. I don't know if it's done consciously or if it's our culture's way of suppressing racism by rarely telling children of color that they are brilliant or smart or capable. That sticks to kids as much as any label. For years, I've seen the power to transform attitudes and trajectories come from simply telling a boy or a girl that he or she did something brilliant, like a chess move. What I have also seen is when I tell this to white boys, many take it in stride as a birthright, while too many black boys fight the word. One exchange with an African American boy, whose name I've changed for privacy, at chess recently went like this: Noah, that was a really smart move. You are totally brilliant. No, I'm not smart, he responds. I'm bad at paying attention and at math. But you just paid attention for an hour. I said, you've made some seriously smart moves. He ponders hard. I hold his gaze. Then I see him sit up straight. The slackness leaves his face as he takes on what he believes is a look that belongs to a brilliant or smart person. He strokes his chin where an invisible smart person beard has just grown. Noah's caregiver comes to pick him up from the community center, and I say, Noah's becoming a great chess player. He is brilliant. No, chess is too hard for him to learn, is the response from the caregiver. He's doing bad in school. Chess is for smart people. That right there is an urban myth. Chess is not for smart people. Playing chess regularly brings out that quality. While there are certainly those with natural abilities, there is no need to fall for elitism when a better argument is for nurture over nature. Hungarian chess teacher Laszlo Polgar, educational psychologist and father of the famous grandmaster championship sisters Zuzá, Susan, Sophia, and Judith, showed the world how chess prodigies are made, not born. This is not a rallying cry for participation trophies, celebrations of mediocrity, or false sentiment. The need here is for balance. Being stingy with words of empowerment doesn't make a child tough, independent, or driven, so much as it makes him into all the negative words we give out too freely. With every game they play and every word of praise they receive, another section of that pipeline is gone, and a length of bridge is being built to a better future. May that one was for you and Jaden and everybody. So yeah, last night we talked about bullying ourselves and how we need to be better to ourselves. But I think we need to take a hard look at not the negative language that we use with children of color, but with all of the words we omit, all of the words we give to white children. Why aren't we giving them as freely to children of color? We need to adjust. We need to reboot. And we need to rethink. This is to all of my friends who just happen to be born with the same shade that I'm in. We can't help what shade we're in any more than anybody else can, but we certainly can change. We certainly can help. The words that come out of our mouths, the looks that we give, the way that we react to children and adults. Because right now, it's time for us to be allies. We marched in that Women's March. The only people that I thought really needed an entirely separate march for women's rights was Black women, because they were the women who had less rights than I did. They needed to be at the front of that line, and they're there now. And with everybody there now, I just want you to know that whether we're out there marching or we're in here talking to a camera, everybody can do something. Because if we don't, it's not going to go in a good direction. I love you. I support you all. And I hope that everybody has a good night. Thanks for being here.